buddy Doug Hutchens. Doug will be telling you what's happening in bluegrass music, and will be playing some of the finest bluegrass around. So settle back for the next 60 minutes and enjoy Bluegrass Today.
And thank you, Mr. Grant Turner. As we always say, it is a pleasure to be with you once again this week with Bluegrass Today. The next couple of weeks, we'll be spending some time with our old friend Butch Robbins and Kerry Hay. They've got an exciting new project. We'll be talking with them right after this. Listen to the Lost and Found with the Rabbit Song.
Been my home for 80 years come next Monday. Since 65 it's just been this old dog and me. My woman was called home to be with the Lord in glory. My life has been a good one, but my journey's in the sea. Seems like the rabbits run much faster than they used to. Every year the hillsides get harder to find. The autumn turns too quickly into winter. Won't be long till me and this old dog will say goodbye. Sleeping over in the corner by the fireplace, that old dog would run and hunt all day. Not too long ago, we drove out among the corn rows, making the memories that are on my mind today. Seems like the rabbits run much faster than they used to. Every year the hillsides get harder to climb. The autumn turns too quickly into winter. Won't be long till me and this old dog will say goodbye. Won't be long till me and this old dog will say goodbye.
The Lost and Found there with the Rabbit Song. Our guest this week is Kerry Hay. I just met Kerry today for the first time, and our old friend Butch Robbins. Butch and I go back a long, long ways. Gentlemen, it's good to have you this week on Bluegrass Today.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be here.
Thank you, Doug.
Butch, I think you've embarked on a new project here. We used to call them records when we would do a new project, but now we've got CDs and cassettes and all these other things. Now it's a new project. Tell us a little bit about this project you're working on.
We have recently recorded a 3-album or 2 CD or 3 tape set of bluegrass classics. We tried to go back from the early 1940s and produce some music that was reflective of bluegrass from there until the latter part of the 70s, when a lot more influences started coming into the music and it got a little more scattered than what it was at that point.
Now, who worked with you on this project?
Had a young fellow named Larry Stevenson, who was the cornerstone of the vocals, Ricky and Ronnie Simpkins and Wyatt Rice, and I had a fellow named Wayne Henderson and another friend of ours named Arnie Solomon to come in to help us out a little bit. I've cultivated a relationship. I got out of the music business a few years ago, and I have developed a friendship with a fellow named Wayne Henderson, and I got him to come in here and help us out because he's been one of my big supporters here and tried to get me to drag a banjo out of the closet and go out and pick a little bit here for the last few years.
Doug, Butch just hit the nail on the head there. He's the cornerstone of this whole project. Of course, the other guys do a super job, but Butch's banjo picking is what really sets
this thing out over and above most of what's being done these days.
I would agree with you there, because Butch learned from the master himself. And as we've talked a number of times in the past, he and I learned a lot from people who are not around any longer. And many times, in order to play the music the way it was played and the way many times it should be played, a lot of these guys don't have the luxury of being able to have some of the experiences that we've had.
Yeah, I think the time that I came along in the music business was extremely wonderful. I got to watch bluegrass change considerably from the early 60s up until the early 80s. Despite my own identity crises and everything else, trying to figure out what was happening with the music and everything, I always seemed to like to hear the purest old-time bluegrassers the very best. And when it came to assembling this project, Kerry has been a friend of mine for a while, and he was all anxious to get out here. He's been an avid follower of the music since Bill Monroe didn't even carry a banjo player. And he wanted to embark on some kind of musical project one way or another. We hashed around things. But we haven't seen any product come on the market in the last few years which is reflective of bluegrass, the way bluegrass was played up through about 1969 or 1970, before the Charlie Moores and the Carter Stanleys and Don Renos and Red Smileys passed on. This project we've worked on here, and I hope I'm not talking in too many circles this evening, but this project we embarked on right here, you'd ask about my musicians on this particular record. They're some of the most gifted young fellas that are picking today. They're all active in the bluegrass, contemporary bluegrass scene. And when we went forth with this project, I tried to impress on these guys that we weren't up to any musical challenges in this day and time, that what we were trying to do was recreate the spirit that bluegrass was played with when it was new, when Flatt and Scruggs and Monroe were creating the sound for the first time. And then some of the folks that knew what a two-beat music was carried that on, you know, in the sense of the Stanleys or the Reno and Smileys or the Flatt and Scruggs beyond the Monroe band. Some of those things. So
They drove me away from it all.
listening to Bluegrass Today. Neighbors, if you like bluegrass music, you don't want to miss this. 39 of the greatest bluegrass tunes of all time by the Bluegrass Band. The legendary Butch Robbins is some of the Bluegrass Band, especially for these recordings. Joining Butch on these sessions were Larry Stevenson, Wyatt Rice, the Simpkins Brothers, and Wayne Henderson. 39 great bluegrass tunes, like the Mule Skinner Blues, Foggy Mountain Breakdown, Rocky Top, Fox on the Run, Dueling Banjos, and 34 other great bluegrass tunes. 50 years of bluegrass music available in LP, cassette, or CD for only $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling. That's right, the Bluegrass Band, featuring the legendary Butch Robbins on the banjo, Larry Stevenson on mandolin, Wyatt Rice on guitar, the Simpkins Brothers on the bass, and the fiddle, and Wayne Henderson joining also on the guitar there. 39 of the greatest bluegrass tunes ever. And you can get them right here from Bluegrass Today. Post Office Box 549, Floyd, Virginia 24091. That's right, the Bluegrass Band. 39 great tunes on Bluegrass Today. Post Office Box 549, Floyd, Virginia 24091.
Carolina, I follow the trail.
We're back once again with Kerry Hay and, of course, Butch Robbins. Butch, back before this project ever came up as even an idea, you worked quite a bit with the great Bill Monroe.
I worked for Bill Monroe for 4 years, and something I had been involved with bands prior to my Bill Monroe experience. The first experience I had with him was in 1967, where I worked for him for a few weeks, and then I went back to work for him in 1978 and stayed for 4 years. But in that interim, I had worked with a lot of bands who were tired of playing Foggy Mountain Breakdown, and I sort of fell into that whole cliched thing, hey, I don't ever want to play Fox on the Run again, or I don't ever want to hear Rocky Top again, or for God's sake, don't nobody request Foggy Mountain Breakdown from me tonight. I went through that through the latter 60s and all through the 70s, and when I got with Monroe the second time around for me, I found myself playing Mule Skinner Blues every night. I played Blue Moon of Kentucky every night. I played the same tunes, and after about 6 or 7 months of it, I realized that I liked those tunes, to play them every night. And with Monroe, the trick was to make the music reflective of the excitement of the moment, especially in the live show setting. You know, I did play Mule Skinner Blues every night, but I can't remember any 2 nights in 4 years that it sounded the same. I played Blue Moon of Kentucky, and I can't ever remember the tune duplicating itself, because at different nights it would be kicked off at different speeds, or the rhythm was always the same. Monroe made sure of that. He wasn't going to let the rhythm of his music go nowhere except where he wanted it to go. But I found that the music being the tune as it was envisioned when it was written, being a vehicle, the trick is to recreate that tune every time you play it. And when we started doing this record, or this project as we call them now, I wanted for the trick to be to capture the enthusiasm that the music was played under. You know, what did Sonny and Bobby Osborne feel like when they're sitting in a studio and they've got Rocky Top, and nobody ain't ever heard Rocky Top except for Boudleaux and Phyllis Bryant?
Right.
You know, how did they feel when they were clicking that thing off? Or by the same token, any number of these other songs, how did it feel in the studio when Bill Monroe walked in there with a guitar and recorded did his own kickoff for Mule Skinner Blues and played the guitar on it? That's the way that we started this record, part of that whole cosmic conscious thing. You know, our whole, the baby boom generation, of which I'm a part, and I think you are too. What did we wake up with all during the 50s and 60s? What was the first thing we heard in the morning? Good morning, Captain.
Yep.
What was the first words that the world heard out of Bill Monroe when he stepped on the Grand Ole Opry? Grand Ole Opry, WSM, is that the radio station, or is that William Smith Monroe? You know, I've looked at things like this for years and years, and the deal is, in going in with this music, these tunes will be good for 1,000,000 years. If the earth stands for 1,000,000 years, somebody around is going to be plunking out some kind of a version of Blue Moon of Kentucky when all is said and done. I don't know that many people other than Bill Monroe will ever be able to sing Mule Skinner Blues, but some of the songs are going to be with us forever. And the trick was with us, or to try working with these young men that I was able to work with on this project, is to try to capture that same enthusiasm that Monroe felt when here he got an opportunity to put his music, not his and Charlie's, but his, on a record, to be so excited to have that opportunity. Or by the same token, to get in that studio when, you know, you're starting to get a little bit hot, you've had a couple of records make the charts, and all of a sudden you get a Rocky Top dropped in your lap. And you can hear it in the original cuts if you go back. Right. You know, you can hear an excitement that just doesn't seem to be there anymore. I think, well, we've all got our various reasons, and I can stand here and throw rocks at 90% of the people in the business today, which would be sort of foolish on my part. But You know, I'm for the excitement of the music, the enthusiasm. I've never heard a more exciting musical form in my life, and I've never heard anything that even compares to what bluegrass can be when you're going at it with the enthusiasm of a bunch of youngins that don't know what they're doing.
Tell you what, let's take a listen to that enthusiasm on the Mule Skinner Blues by the Bluegrass Band. Neighbors, you're listening to Bluegrass Today. Neighbors, if you like the bluegrass music that you've just heard, you don't want to miss this. That's right, 39 great bluegrass tunes, all by the Bluegrass Band. The legendary Butch Robbins has assembled the Bluegrass Band especially for these recordings. Joining Butch on these sessions were Larry Stevenson, Wyatt Rice, the Simpkins Brothers, Wayne Henderson, and a host of others. 39 great bluegrass tunes like the Mule Skinner Blues that you just heard, the Foggy Mountain Breakdown, Rocky Top, Fox on the Run, Dueling Banjos, and 34 other great bluegrass tunes. 50 years of bluegrass history available on LP, cassettes, or CDs for only $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling. That's the Bluegrass Today, Post Office Box 549, Floyd, Virginia 24091. That's right, 39 great bluegrass tunes by Butch Robbins and the Bluegrass Band, available on LP, cassette, or CD. Only $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Bluegrass Today, Post Office Box 549, Floyd, Virginia 24091.